Okay, we're back playing some more Ace Attorney, you guys. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll continue on Rise of the Ashes. Alright, then let's see what we can do in the courtroom. Playing a little early so I can like get this, you know, God of War and get into some more multiverses for today. And by the way, thank you all for the recent subscribers and all the likes, and you know, you guys enjoying many of my videos, and again, like a bunch of you guys like, you know, loving like my comic book reviews, especially the Harley Quinn stuff recently. You know, blase. You guys are just, you know, phenomenal. Thank you. We already recently hit 300 subscribers, so let's keep it up. And yeah, let's enjoy more Ace Attorney. How did the investigation go yesterday, Mr. Wright? Frankly, there are still a lot of gray areas. Or rather, the whole thing is one big gray area. Don't worry about me. No matter what the outcome, I'm ready to accept my fate. I believe in you, sis. Mr. Wright, let me offer you a word of advice. Yes? A defense attorney should never believe their client. I don't think that's right. That's kind of hogwash. The defendant is called to trial because they are suspected of wrongdoing. Never forget that. Miss Sky, you remind me a lot of Mia. But there's one decisive difference between you and her. And that is, you're not a defense attorney. I believe it's almost time for trial. Good luck, Mr. Wright. My first trial without a Fae helping me. No one's going to bail me out this time. I'll be alone in there. So I have to discover the truth all by myself. Let's do it, Mr. Wright. I'll be with you the whole time, the whole way. Opposite end. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. What? Wait, hold up. And in opening, you see Phoenix on the right side or left side, depending on your point of view, and Edgeworth is on the other side. Now you got, like, I guess the classic, oh, he, you know, Phoenix got to be looking, you know, in the direction of your right. It's weird. I mean, you should be like doing the opposite end, shouldn't you? The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution has been ready for a while, Your Honor. Edgeworth. It's been 2 months, but I haven't been in a courtroom since his trial. I hope that personal feelings will not be a part of the proceedings today, Mr. Wright. I will choose the path I think is right, regardless of what those around me might say. The judgment to be made here is in our hands, not those of anyone else. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth, your opening statement, please. Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky has committed an unpardonable crime. Not only this, but she was rash enough to commit it in the prosecutor's office life. Wow, he's much more forceful in person. I suddenly feel like confessing to everything. However, she will now pay for her rashness with her life. There was a witness to a crime. A professional witness. Well then, call your first witness, Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution calls its first witness, Miss Angel Starr, to the stand. The cough-up queen? You know, I don't have, you know, any kind of allergic reaction to anything or, you know, allergies, but with the state of everything going on with like the environment, pollen and what have you, man, I'm starting to feel like, you know, I'm sniveling and stuff like that, and a lot of people is in that same boat. It's crazy, so pardon me. Haven't I seen you somewhere? You ordered a caviar lunch, right? Oh, caviar! I'd never eaten caviar before. The judge is really wolfing it down. And for you, I have a fiesta ball. Thanks. Will the witness state her name and profession? And you, sir? Did you order the fingerprint lunchbox? It is too early for lunch. Your name and profession, please. Well, Your Honor, how does it taste? So this is why everyone raves about caviar. It's so tasty it hurts. I always thought caviar would taste like pickled tapioca. What the heck does pickled tapioca taste like? Name, profession, now. Me? The name is Angel Starr. Don't go forgetting it. I find myself running Lunchland these days. Is that what you wanted me? Is that what you wanted me to say, Mr. Edgeworth? Very well, witness. Please describe the incident to us. The prosecution will wait. I'm not finished eating. Hurry it up. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth. As you know, we usually call on the police to provide a description of the crime. Your Honor, as Mr. Edgeworth has said to the court, I am a professional. Oh, professional hussy? What exactly does that mean? Until 2 years ago, Miss Angel Starr was a special investigator with the police. She was a first-rate homicide detective. What? Miss Starr was a detective? Aha! I know who you are. Cough up Queen Angel Starr, Your Honor. Long time no see. Very well. You may continue with the description, Miss Starr. Just who is this lady? I might have the court's attention over here. The parking lot at the prosecutor's office is divided into 2 blocks. A block is for the prosecutor's office personnel. B block is for visitors and clients. A chain divider separates the 2 blocks. I suppose that to keep visitors from taking up prosecutors' spaces, yes. The crime took place by a car in the back of A block, in the car's trunk. The killer stabbed the victim with this knife and went to drive the body out. Unfortunately for her, there was a witness, and an arrest was made on the spot. Who was this valiant witness? Why, it was me, Your Honor. Witness, did you see the very moment of the crime? You know, like, the judge shouldn't be asking like too many questions. These kind of questions he's asking right now, you know, from what I've learned from like legal videos, like these kind of questions like the lawyers need to be asking. Of course, Your Honor. Oh, by the way, I got the window open just to let some air in, so if you hear like cars honking or children outside, that's why. Immediately after that, I apprehended the chief prosecutor. It seems rather cut and dry, doesn't it? Very well, Mr. Wright. I can't agree on principle, Your Honor. It seems that some poor losers are unwilling to accept the truth, Your Honor. Shall I proceed to crush what little hope they have remaining? You can, then give them your worst, Miss Starr. Wait, are they talking about me? Somehow I always knew a day like this would come. Why? I was on my way to deliver a lunchbox to my boyfriend. One of those. When I sensed something, perhaps it was my finally honed detective's intuition at work. Yeah, why she's not a detective anymore? She needs to elaborate on that part. Through the wire fence, I saw the chief prosecutor standing next to a garage car. Why the detective didn't fight back? You know, you think like detectives would be a little bit more, I mean, yeah, sure, you caught by surprise, but it didn't seem like, you know, as far from the crime scene, didn't seem like the male detective didn't put up a fight, because you think that, you know, police officers are always trained for hand to hand, at least somewhat. And being a detective, like, not that they need to be like Batman or anything like that, but it's like, you know, show some bit of like defensive wounds or something. Like he just looked like he just took it. The chief prosecutor was holding a knife in her right hand. Then she thrust the pointing tip of the knife into Detective Goodman's chest. Bringing a lunchbox to your boyfriend. How touching. As you can see, there is no room for doubt. The key point of your testimony seems to be nothing other than the point of the knife which you saw being stabbed into Detective Goodman. So how does it feel to be so utterly crushed? I'm still thinking about that. It's merely a flesh wound, Mr. Wright. Very well, Mr. Wright. You may cross-examine the witness. There's no prints on this. If she was holding the knife with her right hand, there should be fingerprints on the said knife. PM. Okay. How did you know? I respect the prosecutor's basic abhorrence of crime, yet their methods are ugly and twisted. Twisted methods will always lead to tragedy. The lunch lady's uninformed opinion is duly noted, given that they are used to erasing inconvenient evidence at at their whim. Telling off a detective that knew too much is merely an extension of that. Miss Starr, do you have something personal against prosecutors? I felt that I had found my dream job when I became an investigator. And if I hadn't been laid off by those prosecutors over there, I'll still be one. Laid off? He was fired. To me, prosecutors are nothing more than worms. That said, I am a pro, as you know. I'm a pro, as you know. My testimony is unbiased and flawless. Very well. You may continue, Miss Starr. His boyfriend, he's a detective? Not that boyfriend, the security guard. That boyfriend? You have several? Yes, this boyfriend, that boyfriend, and the other boyfriend. Care to join? Man, she's a hoe. Now, I bet you none of the guys know about each other. I mean, I would respect it more if, like, they knew about each other and they have like an understanding. That'd be one thing. But what makes her a hoe is the fact that she just like hiding around, thinking like, you know, they're like exclusive and they're not. But yet another boyfriend position is still open for applicants. I'll stick with the lunches things. Note to self, the judge has to think before replying. The security guard room is in the lot, in A block. It's up to the second level so you can see everything from there. That will be the room with the security sign. Incidentally, did you bring your lunch boxes by car? Since I'm a visitor now, I parked in B block. So she was in B block when she witnessed the crime. But man, if she was in B block visiting, like, what's the time difference? Because I'm concerned, like, okay, it should take. If she like, she has to go to that security guard boyfriend of hers, which is in A block. I mean, she had to take a while just to go from the visitors parking lot around to go to the A block to go see him. That should take some time. Like, what time she arrived in general in the first place? You sensed something? So you're saying you had a premonition of the murder? It felt like, how would you say? Oh yes, it was like the feeling you get when you view a pumpkin chock full of seeds. I have no idea what that means. Speaking of a detective's intuition. Wasn't the victim, Mr. Bruce Goodman, also a detective? Yes, well, he was like a young cheese. Young cheese? A pale white cheese, not yet tangy with experience on the streets. A greenhorn. Then I must be hard, yellowed, and sharp as a tack. Yeah, with the odor of an old cheese to match. In any case, there, in the lot, I felt something stirring in the back of my mind. By Garrett's car, you mean? Mr. Edgeworth's car, yes. Mr. Edgeworth's? Incidentally, the knife with which the victim was stabbed was also Mr. Edgeworth's. Wasn't it? Indeed, it was. What an odd case this is. And the person you saw, you are sure it was the defendant. I saw her from no further than 30 feet away. I am certain it was her. If she's telling the truth, we're doomed. Let's just do what we can. Even if we don't have any proof, we can always nitpick. Witness, in your testimony, you clearly stated the following. Prosecutors are nothing more than the worms. Ergo, you are a biased witness. You might want to keep those silly opinions to yourself in the future, rookie. Huh? Rookie? Unless you're willing to risk the consequences of doubting me, I'll fry you like a fritter. Crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside. She's really obsessed with, food. That was inspiring. I believe I've heard that taglines elsewhere. You could cry plagiarism. I may be relegated to the lowly post of lunch lady, but my instincts are honed. A photograph? You took this? The moment I witnessed the crime, my reflexes took over and snapped. I took a picture. In fact, one of my lunch boxes is rigged with a camera. I suppose that's more exciting than just hanging it around your neck. Goodness, why am I only seeing this photograph just now? You think I was showing it to you, a prosecutor? Think again. My boyfriend works in the photography division of criminal affairs. Well, this is most certainly the defendant. If you can't bring up just random pieces of evidence right in the middle of trial. She broke the law. Being a detective, a former detective, she should know better than to just introduce new evidence right in the middle of trial. Everybody got to be privy to this beforehand, so they can be in the court records. It's like, can't do that. Uh-oh, that is unmistakably Lana Sky. So what was the defendant doing at the time? Tell me more about this knife that the suspect was carrying. Well, I'd say the blade was 4 inches long. Is that right, Mr. Edgeworth? Is your knife after all? Yes, that's about right. Prosecutors are by nature well versed in the location of a man's vital organs. I'm sure it was easier than boiling an egg for my egg salad surprise set. You can't testify as her ability to kill a person. Perhaps a chicken salad set would have been a better metaphor. So the defendant was holding a knife. What then? Tell the court why you didn't try to stop this crime. You did see her raise the knife to strike, no? The defense has a point. Unfortunately, by the time I realized what was going on, it was already too late. Too late? Yes. The next moment, the chief prosecutor brought down the murder weapon. I see. It's only a flesh wound, right, Mr. Wright? We can make it. You said that before. Anything else? Scientifically speaking, Miss Starr's testimony is flawless. Sounds pretty fatal to me. What do we do? Is this it? Is my sister guilty? Let's just keep our heads cool and press the witness a bit, shall we? For some reason, having her panicking next to me makes me calmer. Don't smile like that. As you can see there. This evidence clearly reveals the country's not state in the area. Oh, man, I thought like, okay, like, cause the you kidding me? It's like no fingerprints on there. Chest. Yeah, I thought it was his stomach. Look this up because I can't afford to, like, you know, keep blowing it. One second. Stupid ads. And you witnessed this? You saw Miss Guy stab the victim with a knife. As I've already said, yes. I swear on my finest salmon swirl lunch. I'm sure that is a fine lunch. But isn't that odd? Look at this photograph. This is the photograph you took of the very moment of the crime, is it not? And why is Miss Guy not holding a knife? Mr. Edgeworth, your thoughts? Objection. That had to be the weakest objection ever, Edgeworth. Yet, it was still stronger than your ever feeble mind, Mr. Wright. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? This photograph was not taken the moment before the stabbing. This was taken the moment after the stabbing. Objection! And how can you tell that? Blood spatter. Huh? See the dark crimson stains on the chief prosecutor's coat? But it's a black and white photograph. Yes, it's hard to tell, but this could be blood. Well, Mr. Wright, I see no problem here. No problem, except you. Mr. Wright, are you going to just sit there and take that kind of abuse? You got a better idea? Okay. Wait, that contradicts what the witness said in her testimony. Namely, that she took the picture the moment she witnessed the crime. Well, it seems I was slightly unclear. My apologies. That's it? If you run out of lunch, you order seconds. Problem solved. If you don't like it, try ordering the jumbo-sized lunch from the get-go. Good advice. I'm not sure I understood it, but good advice. Now I'm getting hungry. I didn't have time to stop her. Prosecutor Sky was cold, calculating like a robot. She killed without pain or remorse. It was a premeditated murder. But what was the motive? Objection! Premeditated? How do you know? Look at the chief prosecutor's hands in the photograph. Well, are those gloves? Surgical gloves made of thin rubber, most likely. Why would she have those on? If it was not premeditated, she would not be wearing those gloves. These gloves do seem to tell a tale of premeditation. Premeditated murder, a serious offense. Witness, add this to your testimony. The murder was planned. The rubber gloves proved it. Hold it! What if she was just in the habit of wearing gloves? Like driving gloves? Objection! The gloves were admitted as evidence when the defendant was arrested. They were rubber gloves of the kind used for autopsies. In other words, when the chief prosecutor came to the crime scene, she came to do murder. It's the only possible conclusion one can take. Everything was planned. It was a premeditated crime. Yeah. Impressive. I'm sorry they took you off the force, Miss Starr. This is bad. He's got them thinking this is all planned. If she can prove this claim, the trial's already over. I've got to think of a way to show that this wasn't premeditated. It's only a flesh wound, right, Miss Wright? Miss Starr's testimony was false. Let me get some water.
Objection!
Witness, do you know what this is? Are you trying to test me? I sell box lunches for a living, you know. That's a knife. The knife. The knife that was in Mr. Edgeworth's trunk. Indeed, it is my knife. What's with this case? The defendant is the chief prosecutor for the district, right? Mommy, are prosecutors bad people? Why is a kid in the courtroom? The defense has a request. We ask that the witness provide an accurate testimony. What's that, rookie? In your testimony, you stated that Lana Skye planned this murder, and that's why she was wearing those special gloves. Seems like a natural conclusion to me. The gloves do indicate planning. However, why would she not also prepare the most important thing, the murder weapon? This knife just happens to be in the trunk of that car. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to plan a murder, you don't forget the weapon. Yeah. Order, order, order! Great, now the tide is turning in our favor. Great show, Mr. Wright. My sister's as good as free. Right. I believe that the next lunch you'll be eating is humble pie. What? Now I want pie. Damn it, I'm hungry. Hope you weren't deluding yourself into thinking that the tide has turned. Not over such a trifling detail. But this shouts a hole in the whole premeditated theory. Bah. The prosecution could care less if it was premeditated or not. The only one who seems to care is that lunch lady over there. The defendant, Lana Skye, murdered a detective with a knife. That is the only thing the prosecution need prove. Nothing else. Very good, Mr. Prosecutor. I suppose you think you're clever now. But you know as well as I do that she planned on killing him. It was planned. If it wasn't... I believe I'd like to hear your testimony again. Witness, please tell us only what you saw, not what you thought. How dare you? My powers of deduction are not to be underestimated. Really now? Lana Skye intended to murder Detective Goodman. That's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. I'm sure the chief prosecutor had a grudge against the victim. Nothing else could drive that human machine to plunge the knife in again and again. The victim was summoned from the police department to the prosecutor's office. Does sound a lot like premeditation, doesn't it? So if I ordered a pizza, does that mean I'm planning to kill the delivery boy? In any case, the defense may now cross-examine the witness. We should check the phone. Her phone. If she called Goodman, then that should be in history. You said that, but you haven't told us how you know. That's what I'm about to tell you, rookie. I believe what she just said was a mere prelude to the story she is about to tell. Try not to interrupt her again, rookie. Never interrupt the storyteller. It's like pulling a bun out of the oven half-baked. Nothing's half-baked here, alright, and it's you. Try not to confuse the defense witness. They're not very quick on their feet. Now, why did you believe the suspect had intentions to murder the victim? Her actions speak for themselves. You have no proof that Miss Scott called him there. You have no proof that she didn't. Mr. Hemsworth, thoughts? There is no record of a call made on the defendant, Miss Lana Sky's phone. You might have written him a letter. Come on, you could have tried public phone first at least. In any case, the victim came to the prosecutor's office where she was murdered. I'm sure she had a reason to be there. Witness, why do you think it was the suspect who summoned the victim that day? What kind of grudge? Well, I wouldn't know that. Of course you don't. That's because he didn't have a grudge. Rookie, I have a lunchbox here. Now, what's inside? How am I supposed to know? See, we agree there is a lunchbox here, but we don't know what's inside. A person's life is like a lunchbox with pretzels. Don't you agree? Don't tell me you trying to hit him with that Forrest Gump bull crap. Life is like a box of chocolates. I get it. That's why my lunch was so salty. This just isn't very good with metaphors. The suspect had a grudge against Detective Goodman. Will you tell us your basis for thinking this? It's simple. A human machine? That's a contradiction. Objection! Please. Can't you find a fault with something of substance, Mr. Wright? Note to self, Mr. Edgeworth's side smells like citrus fruit. You may say again and again, how many times did she stab him exactly? We often say chop into 1,000 pieces, but we don't actually mean 1,000 pieces. What difference does it make if the deed is done? How come she's getting mad at me? Let's just say she stabbed him several times and leave it at that. Leave it at that. This is a murder case, people. Mr. Wright, you should speak up if you have an objection, you know. Miss Starr has turned out to be as short-tempered as she looked when we met her. Challenging her abilities as a detective really set her off. A short wig burns out the fastest. It's a scientific fact. I wonder, wouldn't it depend on the size of the candle? I mean, add more wax and even a really short wick will burn longer. Obviously, more scientific testing is required. Okay. You say she was stabbed him again and again. But you couldn't have witnessed that. Are you testing me then? Are you testing me? Then I test you. With my moss surprise. I'm afraid the moss is going under our feet as we wait, Miss Star. What do you mean? I shouldn't have to explain this, but take a look. The autopsy report states that death was due to a loss of blood from one stab wound. Aha! You're right. Good show, Mr. Edgeworth. What a hunk. He's my hero, really. What about my objection? No one noticed. Well, witness, you got the crime scene set, right? Thanks. I always believed that no one could ever mistake ketchup for blood. But now, I realize that such mistakes are possible. So, you're saying you mistook something for blood? When she lifted her knife, I thought I saw blood at her breast. Splattered blood from her victim. That's why I thought she must have stabbed him at least twice. Then tell us what you saw that you thought was blood. Testify. A red muffler looked like blood to me. That's how ghastly the whole scene was. A red muffler? Yes, like a scarf. The chief prosecutor always wears one around her neck. So she can be easily hanged at a moment's notice, I suppose. That's, ghastly. Ghastly. She's right. Miss Scott was wearing a red scarf, wasn't she? But wait, isn't it odd that you mistook that for a splattered blood? Well, people often mistake my beard for a bib. A judge with a bib. That's why this place feels so much like kindergarten sometimes. Actually, I do think I saw some traces of blood on her chest. However, the autopsy report is clear on this matter. There was only one knife wound. Apparently, Miss Starr isn't entirely sure of her own testimony. Mr. Wright, this is our chance. Chance for what, I wonder? Miss Starr has turned out to be a strategy. Okay. Oh, she ain't. Check this out. You notice there's no scarf in this picture. So that's objection. Miss Starr, I demand an explanation. The witness is clearly not suited for detective work. What? The suspect was not wearing a scarf or a muffler of any kind when she stabbed the victim. And you've proved it yourself with this photograph. I was about to do that, Edward. Only a professional lunch lady could be so utterly clueless. Congratulations, perhaps you finally found your true calling in life. Harsh words, but good. In the end, Mr. Ezra prevails. What was my objection, chopped liver? But it was there, a scarf. No, not that, but something red, really. Well now, where were we? The witness has given us an entertaining interlude, but back to business. Very well, witness. Continue your testimony. You saw the crime and apprehended the suspect. Tell us about that. Very well. I do remember some things accurately, at least. Ultimately, we couldn't shake the most important part of her testimony. The most important part? The part where your sister stabs the victim. This next testimony might just be the moment of truth. After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition off to her side. I quickly caught her, explained her rights to her, and arrested her on the spot. Ah yes, when I arrested her, he mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. The chief prosecutor made to escape but against Angel Star, as resistance is futile. You're quite determined about this scarf, aren't you? I strike like a snake and bite like a cobra. That's me, Angel Star. It wasn't a very good metaphor. First of all, a cobra is a kind of snake. Don't bother me with details unless you want to get bitten. No thanks. Note to self, Mr. Wright is weak against poisonous snake bites. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum. Oil drum? Hard to imagine. Oh, she's a beautiful but deadly. A predator, this one. A leopard woman. Rawr. Very well, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, if you will. So where is this partition on the floor plans? I'm sure she means this wall next to the car. That's right. There was a wall there, about 6 feet high. She was obviously trying to hide herself. Quite a natural thing for a criminal to do. And what did you do then? I quickly caught her and explained her rights to her. You say quickly. Were you close to the suspect? As I just said, I was only 30 feet away from her the whole time. Maybe I should press her for more details. I'd like to see this on the floor plans just to be safe. The Lunchland car was... She was a visitor, thus she was parked in B block. So you witnessed the murder from here. That would make it about 30 feet from the car, yes. That is correct, Miss Star. Yes, that's right. But there was a chain link fence in front of you. I went over it, of course. Amazing. The colorful queen, lunch late athlete indeed. It would have taken her a little time to climb over the fence. So she couldn't have gotten to my sister that fast. Yeah, that fence was about 9 feet high too. So how did Miss Sky not get away? She mentioned a muffler? What exactly did she say? If I remember exactly, I would have told you in my testimony. Cheeky. Anyway, all I heard her say was the word muffler. Just that one word? So, what you heard wasn't the suspect talking to you, but to someone else? Yes, the chief prosecutor was talking on her phone. Her phone? You can't mean... By phone, do you mean his cell phone discovered at the crime scene? Yes, ultimately. Ultimately? My memory. It's like a salmon heading upstream, you see. No, the court doesn't see, Miss Starr. The chief prosecutor's first attempt to use the phone hanging on the wall. On the wall? That's right. I was right near the car. There was an emergency phone on the wall. Apparently it was out of order, and so she used her cell phone. Indeed, the emergency phone was out of order that day. Good witness. Good witnessing? Whatever happened to good testifying? You should, of course, add this to your testimony. The things I do to please this rookie's defense attorney. Do you think you could restate your testimony for the court? I was going to ask the same thing. I'll only say this one time, so listen close, rookies. The chief prosecutor stabbed the victim and ran behind the partition. Then she picked up the emergency phone on the wall, but it was out of order. How can you see all that when the partition was like right in front of you, 30 feet away? She pulled her phone. She pulled her own cell phone out of her pocket. And during that time, you climbed over the chain link fence. Then, when I boldly grabbed her arm, the chief prosecutor hung up her phone. And you saw her doing this? What is it, Mr. Wright? She made to escape? Can you be more specific? She brushed aside my hand and ran. It was a terrible sight to see, like a dollop of lard on a pâté à foie gras. Huh? She even kicked over an oil drum at me. An oil drum? There was an oil drum lying on its side at the scene of the crime. But it's strange. What's that? If she wanted to escape, why didn't she run the other way? The other? A parking lot entrance. That's right. It doesn't make any sense that she would run from behind the partition to the oil drums. Excellent. More mysteries. I wish we could solve a few before finding more, though. Sorry my sister is so suspicious, Mr. Wright. Not as sorry as I am. But she didn't do it. You have to believe me. Miss Starr, I have to conclude that you have a personal grudge against Miss Lana Scott.
Objection!
The witness is a former detective. Her testimony is unmarred by personal bias. But who would have thought you would be on my knight in shining armor, prosecutor? You who, together with the chief prosecutor, kicked me out 2 years ago. Well, Miss Starr, this is a fatal contradiction with your testimony. How do you explain this? I don't know what you're talking about. You mess with me, and I'll make you cough it all up. Look at the floor plans. You said you witnessed the crime from this point. However, if that's true, you couldn't possibly have seen Miss Sky making that phone call. I believe you see what I'm getting at. The emergency phone was on the back side of this partition. If indeed you were in B block, you couldn't have seen it. Order. What is the meaning of this? It's simple, Your Honor. She's not coughing up lunch. She's coughing up lies. Zingo!
Objection!
That's quite a claim, Mr. Wright. Perhaps you will allow me a question. Tell us exactly what lie this witness had told the court. Here's where the counterattack begins. Can't afford to get this wrong. The witness lied about... It's like either A or C. Is actually B. This guy tried to use the emergency phone, but it was out of order. What is significant about this fact? Nothing. Therefore, it would be pointless for Miss Starr to lie about it. Let's say the witness did actually see Miss Sky using the emergency phone. It would mean Miss Starr witnessed the crime from a different location.
Objection!
A different location? Now that's a pointless lie if I ever heard one. Before you call my lie pointless, at least let me tell it. Let me ask a question to our clever wordsmith, Mr. Wright. Just where was the witness when she saw the crime? All the testimony we heard until now points in one direction. The place from where Miss... Okay. This is the only place where she could have been. The security guard room? Indeed, the security room in the underground parking lot is well positioned. It's built on the second floor so you can see the entire lot. She would have been able to see the emergency phone from there. But why there? There are many other places where she could have seen the phone. Not in this case, Your Honor. The witness, not being part of the prosecutor's office, couldn't park in A block. The only place where she could have seen the crime in the back of the partition is here. I remember in your testimony you said you brought a lunch to your boyfriend in the security guard room, yes? Well, Miss Starr? How many years have I been getting the better of men? To think that the tables could be turned. Today, a man has got the better of Angel Starr. What have you done? You used to be a detective. You should know better. I'm not turning back. The guilty will be punished, and I'll do what I must to make sure justice prevails. The guilty. Is she talking about Miss Sky? Miss Wright, doesn't this strike you as odd? Why did Miss Star lie? It doesn't make sense. Huh? She could have just said she saw the crime from the security guard station. It wouldn't change anything. Exactly. This photograph tells all. It was the defendant who stabbed the victim. Wait a minute. It's clear she was in the security guard room, which is on A block. But the photograph was taken on B block side, clearly through the fence. So how did that happen? Who took the photo?
Objection!
It still stands. I disagree, Mr. Edgeworth. What? If a witness is found to be lying, they're guilty of perjury. She knows this. She wouldn't risk that without a good reason. So tell us what her reason was, Mr. Wright. Huh? Me? Who else? Mr. Wright, let's review what we know. Let's start witness the crime from the security guard station. But she lied and said she saw it from B block. It must make a vital difference, but what? What would change? It's gotta be the distance. Gotta be the distance, right? I gotta get something to eat before I start God of War. It changes the distance between her and the scene of the crime.
Objection!
My condolences, Mr. Wright, but one look at the floor plans and it's quite clear. The distance between the scene of the crime and the guard station is 30 feet. I don't see how that would change what she could see.
Objection!
What she saw is not in question here. What matters is the time it would take her to reach the scene of the crime. Miss Star, you witnessed the crime from the security guard station. Now, how long did it take you to go from there to the scene of the crime where you arrested Miss Sky? Well, witness, you, yes. You ordered the squid wheels, right? Quality of my lunches has gone from low to inedible. I was bringing a PB&J's lunch with fresh boysenberry jam to my boyfriend. Boysenberry for the boyfriend. He wasn't in the station, so I waited. I witnessed the crime from the glass wall station. And before I knew what I was doing, I found myself running towards the scene. But the door was locked. I couldn't open it. Why is she bullshitting? Okay, there's no way you can catch her like that. No way, that's complete bullshit. It probably took me at least 5 minutes to get to the scene of the crime. 5 minutes? This changes things considerably. But it was that woman over there in the defendant's chair who stabbed him. I know it. I have photographic evidence. I swear on my finest plastic sport. You have a point, and the spork is a wonderful invention. Would you like another caviar lunch? Absolutely. Uh-oh. Mr. Wright, you have to do something. Do I have any evidence to stop this? Raise an objection. Complete bullshit. 5 minutes between the witnessing of the murder and the arrest. Think about it. You could make pasta in that amount of time if you like it. Al dente. I've got lunchboxes that tie pasta into knots, rookie. A 5-minute blank. Isn't that strange? Strange. If you were a criminal, what would you do with 5 minutes, Your Honor? Well, I guess I flee the scene. Hey, don't get the wrong idea. I didn't kill anyone. But you have the instincts of a killer. You would run, but this time was different. This guy dawdled at the scene of the crime. She even had her picture taken. No true criminal would act this way. It's inconceivable. Well then, it seems we've come to an end of this testimony. The witness has a grudge against the defendant and a blank in her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, is the next witness ready to go? Unfortunately, I appear to have overestimated this witness on account of her professional history. We did it! We screwed that can shut. We screwed that can shut, Mr. Wright. That was too close. I'm afraid that the Kaffa Queen has been dethroned. And with that, court is adjourned. Howdy. Mr. Edgeworth, you ordered the squid wheels, right? That's the one she tried to foist off me. I prefer not to take the defense team's leftovers. Anything else to say? I might be able to save you. I have decisive evidence. What was that? Is this another one of her trick lunchboxes? My apologies, but we have no further questions to ask of you, Miss Starr. Is this your jumbo lunchbox? Woohoo! A triple-decker. Out of deference to the witness's determination, I'll allow one more testimony. Let's hear about this decisive evidence. Like the Lunchland model says, you won't be disappointed. What's she going to pull out of her lunchbox this time? I'm getting hungry. I don't know about you guys. I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the scene of the crime. At the crime scene. And now the matter of the victim's shoe. Did I not bring this up? 2 types of blood were found on this shoe. One was, of course, the victim's, and the other blood type matched that of the defendant, Miss Lana Sky. This shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence. What? There was blood found on that shoe? Try Lunchland for all your lunch and decisive evidence needs.
Objection!
Witness, what's the meaning of this? Why is this the first time I've heard of this evidence? Simple. As I've already said, I don't trust you with evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. That's why I took the liberty of investigating this myself. And you had blood tests performed? Didn't I mention? I have 3 boyfriends in forensics. In any case, Your Honor, can't accept this as evidence. What? You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. In other words, this shoe is illegal evidence, at least for the time being. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Ezra sure is celebrating. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. Don't forget, I used to be a detective. As I mentioned previously, this shoe has already been tested by a member of the forensic department. As you can see, it was approved by the police department as of today. Even the general public can produce official evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Ezra is looking pretty sullen. You could at least study some evidence law, really. The prosecution's complaints notwithstanding, it appears that this evidence satisfies the first rule of evidence law. However, it seems you have yet another count against you, witness. Anything to ensure that the guilty are properly judged? Very well, Mr. Wright. You may cross-examine the witness. Why did you lie about those 5 minutes? I guess you could say I just wanted people to look at the results. The results? How many times do I have to say this? I saw the chief prosecutor stab the victim before my very own eyes. Compared to that, a 5-minute blank means nothing. Then why didn't you just tell the truth? Don't make me laugh. We're dealing with the most untrustworthy of the vile lot known as prosecutors. Falsified evidence arranges testimonies, erasing, manipulating evidence. When you fight monsters, you need to use every trick in the book. This when the suspect is admitting she did it. A false testimony is the most despicable crime of all, Miss Starr. Let's just get this over with. And you found the shoe at the scene of the crime? I detained the chief prosecutor and notified the police department. I wanted to make myself useful while I was waiting for the police to arrive. So like an ill-trained pooch, you snuck off with a shoe. I was afraid someone would erase the chief prosecutor's crime. This shoe was my secret weapon if that should happen. This fashion little basket I have here, it carries more lunch boxes, gentlemen. I'm happy for you and your lunchbox bag, really. In any case, you removed valuable evidence from the scene of the crime. Now tell us what you did next. So you brought it to the forensics department? If you're going to submit something as evidence in court, you need it approved. To do that, evidence must be analyzed by a forensics expert. And she got away with her little coup because she used to be a detective. The shoe does appear to have bloodstains on it. And the man was stabbed after all. And that blood belonged to the victim, Detective Goodman. As I said, there were 2 types of blood found on the shoe. And the other blood type matched that of the defendant. You can't say for sure the blood belonged to the defendant with a blood test. You claim to know something about blood tests, rookie? Huh? Well, speak up. Well, blood comes in 4 types, A, B, O, and AB. However, you can't tell from a blood test whether a murder was committed in cold blood. I don't even know what my blood type is. I know it's not rare. It might have to be O. That's just a figure of speech, Mr. Wright. Actually, we can differentiate between millions of types with all blood tests out there. Which means that we can more or less narrow any sample of blood down to just one person. Or so I hear. That's pretty specific. If I had a little more time, I would have gotten DNA test results. But they said there's very little doubt it could be anyone's but Miss Lana's. So the suspect's blood was found on the victim's shoe. That ties her directly to the death of Detective Goodman. I was afraid he was going to say that. Can't let this evidence go through without a fight. You ordered the peppered fish guts, right? Someone like it hot, Mr. Wright. Someone like your client, she's in enough hot water to make a whole vat of soup. That's right. Do you or don't you have a problem with this shoe? Problem? This is critical. Is there a problem with this victim's shoe? Yeah, there is a problem, but I want to double check. If I'm not imagining things, I say there is one critical problem with this evidence, a clear contradiction. That gleam in your eyes, you're still young, rookie. I'd give you a pepper fist gust now. But you couldn't take the heat, could you? Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. What is a contradiction about the victim's shoe? So what's the problem with this evidence? I wonder if you notice, there's blood on the bottom of this shoe. Don't mess with me, rookie, or it'll be your blood on the bottom of my shoe. Indeed, there is quite a bit of blood on the bottom of the shoe. It makes sense, the victim was stabbed with a knife. What could possibly be contradictory about the blood on the victim of the shoe? The problem lies in the footprint. The footprint? Note that the bottom of the victim's shoe is covered in blood. Then, isn't it strange? Why weren't any bloody footprints found on the scene of the crime? Aha! As you can see, there were no traces of any such footprints at the scene of the crime. That contradicts your claim about this shoe.
Objection!
This picture only shows part of the floor, so there could have been bloody footprints.
Objection!
And where are they, Mr. Edgeworth? Because we checked the scene and found nothing of the sort. Order. Well, witness? What, great going, Mr. Wright, but it's true that the lack of a footprint is a contradiction. But then we have to ask why there wasn't a footprint. Oh, that's true. There has to be a reason why there wasn't a footprint. Think, Mr. Wright, think. Hey, I don't know why it's not there. I'm just good at finding contradictions. What? I see. Now I get it. Get what? Our witness is more devious than I give her credit for. We were hoodwinked to the very end. but she slipped. There is one vital hint to the truth in her testimony. What are you talking about? Think back to when she told us about the apprehending the suspect. I thought that was a strange thing for the normally cool-headed chief to do. No kidding. Now witness, allow me to ask a very simple question. This oil drum, was it empty? I'm not sure I like your attitude, Mr. Edgeworth. Though apparently you're not the slowest conveyor belt in the lunchbox factory. Witness, well, was the oil drum empty? The oil drum kicked over by the chief prosecutor was brimming with water. Water? What does that mean? Still don't get it, Mr. Wright? Do you want to know the reason she knocked it over? The real reason? Aha, you don't mean. Yes, the suspect knocked over the oil drum for one reason and one reason alone. To erase the bloodstains that would become evidence against her. What? Yeah, but you have to wipe it up too. You know, just spilling water will just smear the blood all over the place, but it won't erase the entire footprint without you actually wiping it all up. Even still, forensics has, you know, different types of solutions and chemicals that would bring the footprint up even after it's been cleaned the day before, or even maybe a week before. The bloodstains left on the victim's shoe tied quite clearly to this murder. And after the deed was done, she knocked over the oil drum to erase the telltale signs. Why, that's a prosecutor's specialty, erasing evidence. That reminds me, this guy's right hand was hurt. Didn't she say she cut herself when she stabbed him? So that's when my sister's blood got on the shoe. Well, I see no reason to prolong this trial. Mr. Wright, do something, please. What? What can I do? The sister has confessed to the crime and she tried to conceal it. What? Enough. There is no need for further debate. The verdict, Your Honor. Very well. But Angel Star is on the prosecution's side. He could have been lying about the water. This court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky. Hold it. Little girl, what did you just say? Huh? Me? Did you say that I, Angel Star, was on the prosecution's side? Yeah, you are. You're saying my sister hid evidence by erasing the bloody footprints. Well, I thought you had your fill, but here you are, demanding a second helping. You know, the lunchbox. The lunchbox called evidence. What? Wait, witness, don't tell me you have something else.
Objection!
The time for deliberations is past. Any further comments and you will be held in contempt of court. That's the job of the judge. Your threats don't scare the cough out clean. Look at this. You got another picture? Photograph? I had it just in case anyone had the gall to suggest that the white shoe didn't belong to the victim. I see no room for error in this evidence. That's right, wait. Get the asphalt in this photo. Hey, it's clearly wet. Erasing the last trace of doubt from this court's mind. Immediately after the murder, the crime scene was washed with water. I'm sorry, Mr. Wright. I guess I couldn't help after all. It's not your fault. I knew I couldn't win this case from the beginning. And it seems this is what your sister wanted anyway. Sorry, Mia. Right, whether or not, don't be so quick to throw in the towel. Get yourself up to the asphalt. Take another good look. Don't give up, not until the bitter end. This is the last piece of evidence. Very well. This time I'd like to declare a verdict for good.
Objection!
Your Honor, wait. What is it with you people? Can I hand down my verdicts in peace anymore? Whoever it is, can it wait? No, it can't wait. Then it will be too late. Look at this photograph, the last one submitted. This trial isn't over until we give each piece of evidence proper consideration. So, Wright, are you saying there's a problem with this latest piece of evidence? Yeah, I think later. I'll think later. Yeah, there's a problem, right or wrong. Right or wrong, I got to go ahead with this. I suppose since we've come this far, we should give every claim a fair shake. Very well, Mr. Wright. Show the court the problem with this photograph. Gotta be the asphalt, but I can't screw up on this part. Oh, not the asphalt. The problem in this photograph is here. What's this? There's something poking out of the car's muffler. Wait just a moment, Mr. Edgeworth. Your Honor, you just said muffler. However, I see no trace of a muffler or a scarf of any kind in this photograph. A muffler is also a part on a car or motorcycle, Your Honor. Just think of it as part of the exhaust system, a pipe. Are you a judge? How are you a judge? Because any child who ever seen a vehicle before would know about a pipe sticking out of part of a car. And you'll go to know that it's called a muffler. You can't be that dense. You that old and don't know that? What's that suspicious looking cloth sticking out of the car's muffler? So what if there is something sticking out of the muffler? What does that have to do with this case? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Objection!
Sorry, Miss Starr, but it's not going to be that easy. In fact, you've already told us why this is important to the case. You said as much in your testimony. What? Let's hear what Mr. Wright has on his mind. Tell us why you think this piece of cloth in the muffler related to the case. I think it's this. Miss Starr, recall your testimony for the court. Ah, yes, when I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. Muffler. Ah, yeah. Could it be that the muffler you heard mentioned was actually this exhaust pipe? If so, that means that this piece of cloth is vital evidence. Well, it seems we will have to suspend the proceedings. Suspend? I find myself wondering about this piece of cloth. If we leave any question unanswered here, we do a disservice to the law. Have the car at the crime scene inspected at once and bring me that cloth. The verdict will wait until after we've seen all the evidence. Agreed? I suppose so. Yeah, that was close. But we made it, at least for now. This court will adjourn for a 30-minute recess. It's lunchtime after all. He's still hungry? Ah, God, that was... Man, oh man, oh man. Well, all this talk about lunch boxes and seeing all that food, now I'm starving. So I want to get me something to eat. Come back in like an hour or so. Get right into God of War, and maybe squeeze in some time later on for multiverses. Anywho, I'll see you guys a little bit later.